Thanks for joining us. We're having an artist spotlight with Kat Allen of Warroad. I'm Kristin Eggerling, the promotions specialist for the Northwest Minnesota Arts Council. And we have Trey Everett, who is our showcase specialist with the Arts Council.
Yeah, I'm Trey, and sorry, Kat, and I work with our galleries, and so our current gallery is our booklet exhibit, and so we have our Northwest Minnesota Arts booklet with various artists, and Kat is in this there in the very beginning, and so that's one reason we wanted to have Kat on our spotlight. And so, Kat, if you could just tell us a little bit about who you are and just anything you want to say as an introduction.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you want to know? I'm Kat. I live in Warroad, as you mentioned. I've been an artist my whole life. Grew up drawing, painting, writing in this area. I'm from Stephen, as you both know. Had the opportunity to do a lot of traveling and meeting new people all into my early 20s and 30s, and found my way back into this area recently within the last 7 to 10 years. And since then, I'm just trying to remain active as an artist, along with all the other things going on in my life. And yeah, I do a little bit of everything. My career is in marketing and design, but obviously I like to get my hands dirty and do a lot of artwork as well. Probably my favorite things that I've worked on are my more abstract pieces. The exhibit right now in Thief River shows one of my pieces, and yeah, I think those are my more favorite pieces to work on, although I do so many other things. You get to wear a lot of hats as an artist, so yeah, I can dive in deeper if you want, or is there any specific area that you're interested in?
I think that's a good start. Yeah,
that is a good start. So one of the reasons why like Trey mentioned, you're in our booklet, but you also designed our booklet. And so maybe could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I worked in, well, my education and my earlier career was all in marketing and graphic design. I spent so many years behind a computer screen, working in an office. Had a really amazing experience, but eventually got burnt out a little bit. So I moved into the freelance realm of design. So I take more contracts, work on a lot of personal pieces, but still very in the digital realm. And so I have connections with the Arts Council. As you both know, I used to work as the coordinators in Trey's position when the gallery was in East Grand Forks. And so had that connection with your group, and Mara had reached out to me to design the booklet. And it was a really fun project. Kristin, you and I worked pretty closely together on it. There's so much content in it, and it's nice to have a project like that where you just have the information handed to you and you don't need to do as much research, and you can just sort of lay everything out and really get to know these artists. It's an amazing piece, an amazing resource to showcase the artwork for everyone in this area. They're all so talented. And so I loved working on that piece, but it was fun. It's like the type of work that I would do at home now is a piece like this. And it's sort of a one and done thing. And I really enjoy that. It's not something that lasts months on end, like the projects I was used to in my earlier careers. So yeah, it was great to be a part of, and I'm very proud of it. I think a lot of people really liked the way it turned out, and I think the exhibit of the artists at the gallery to tie it all together was a brilliant idea. So I thank you both for that. And I think everyone was really happy with the way it's turned out.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the booklet too. And I just think you did a great job, and
Thanks. Yeah, you too.
it's fun to work with you.
Yeah, and it is a great booklet full of all kinds of information. And so if people, just a real quick, Kristin, if people wanted to get a hold of this, how would they get
Well, there should be copies at your local library for sure. And then if there are any arts businesses in your area, they should be available there as well. You can always get one, I think, from us, but there should be some in your community or close by, and they're free. It
right?
they don't cost anything.
Right. And we put this out every 3 years.
Every 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So this next spring, we're going to start advertising already for our next booklet. It seems like it just came out, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah, it's nice to see some of the artists that do it year after year, and then seeing new artists participate in it. And I think it's just such a great resource. I think if more people would involve themselves in it, it's great. I know a lot of people pick them up at our library here in Warroad, and I see them all over. So hopefully more people will kind of realize the value of it, and not only artists, but other community members, and pick one up and say, and like they might find someone in their own community they didn't even know of, or their region. And
well, and this year we added performing artists, which we hadn't had in there before, in a separate category, like bands and different things. So I think that's also a resource for communities if you're looking to book a musical act or some other performing artist.
Oh yeah, they need to do that more, I think. Right? Every day of the week. I have to watch.
Well, and I also like how it's in the back, it's divided up by regions, or towns or cities and counties. And so that's kind of neat, just to go and look at your region or a region you're visiting, and you can get a little more information.
Absolutely. No, for sure.
Kat, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned your delve into abstract art. And so you have a large abstract piece in our current gallery. Can you tell us a little bit about how you became interested in abstract art, just that journey? What has that been like for you?
Yeah. Do you want to pull the piece up or not? Maybe I
see if I
can a little bit.
There you go.
Yeah, so on and off throughout my career, so to speak, I've always been interested in abstract works. I really like the experimentation of it, and sort of having a starting point where you don't have a plan, or you don't really know what the end result will be. There's a lot of just free association in the work, and you just end up in a spot and then you realize it's done and it really speaks to you and hopefully speaks to others. I think that the start of my interest in abstract art was when I was in school. I joke about this all the time because I was so mad about it back then, but now I very much appreciate it. But when I was in college at Savannah College of Art and Design, we were required to take 8 art history classes, I think, in order to graduate. And so you just get to see the whole basic narrative of civilization, really in itself. And of all the pieces that really spoke to me, abstraction was the strongest. And I think it started with a little bit of like pre-war works in Europe. and that whole idea of exploring like spirituality and the unconscious. But that the way that evolved post World War II, especially like, well, in Europe, but especially like in New York, where people kind of didn't feel like those reasons for abstraction were relevant anymore. And it was more about addressing the moral failures of society and really focusing on individualism and self-expression. And so that's what really drew me to it. And I think that sort of was the gateway. And even today, like, where so many artists are able to feel like they can express themselves and they don't need to have a reason. It can be just for the integrity of their own existence, so to speak. And I just very much like the idea of, again, the experimentation, like the being experimental and not knowing where it will lead and having control of your own narrative. And so this piece, this is my most recent abstract piece, for example, was started in 2024, and the title is USA 2025. And this piece, along with some of my others, which I can go through in a bit, like, they all sort of end up having a similar feel of, like, I can see waves, I can see chaos, I can see and feel this sort of idea of drowning. And with the title being USA 2025, I think it reflects not only my own experience of feeling drowned in just the constant insanity of these times, but also I think a lot of people are feeling that way. But for me, when I also look at it and I see the remnants of an American flag, the colors and the mixture of everything together, it's an American flag that's no longer recognizable. And I think a lot of people can relate to that for themselves or for family members that have been affected by these recent times. But yeah, I think it's mostly about free association for me, self-expression, and maybe being able to connect with other people who are feeling the same way. Because with abstract art, it's not about a plan or thinking it through. It's all about feeling. And for some reason, I'm always brought back to that with my art. It means more to me to work in that way than to have a plan. And I know, Trey, like you can relate. You have murals that you design and it has to have a plan and be precise. And Kristin, also with your writing, it's about informing. And so it's kind of fun to dive into a piece like this where there's no plan. Would you not agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I love your explanation. That was really good and helpful. Yeah, and I love that idea of the no plan. And it's I feel like some of my best work is when, for murals anyway, when someone says, do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's the best, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's like, awesome. And then I can change it as I'm working. It's not like I have to have it all planned out. I can be like, okay, I know I'm going to start here, and then I'll see what's next. So
Absolutely.
I love that.
Amazing.
And then you can be your most creative, when you're just allowing it to happen.
For sure.
Yeah. Is this the piece that's in our exhibit right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like working with big canvases. I think this is a 4x8. No, I think it's a 3x7 or a 4x8. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's very large. It's our largest piece in the exhibit.
You know what's so cool is to see this picture of it, and it's really small, and yet you can just, it's still really impactful. You know, it's interesting that in actuality it's quite large, but you can see it here boiled down. And
yeah, it's nice getting up close to large pieces. I think I've always liked the larger scale. So you can kind of get up close and you see all the textures. You can see the writing that's etched in small areas. You can see fingerprints and just all the mistakes that turned into something that, you know, works with everything else. So yeah, I really like working with large pieces. Almost everything I do is at least a 3x5 or larger. We build our own canvases here, and it's great. Yeah. Room to mess around.
yeah.
Nice.
Do you want to show some of your other pieces that you have in the system?
Oh, sure. I don't see if I have control here.
Oh, and I can do it if you need me to.
Oh, I feel like a lot of my themes are strangely to do with waves and water. Even though I grew up in the Red River Valley, it doesn't, like, we were pretty landlocked, but I've always had a pull to large bodies of water in general, wide open spaces. I love being able to see the horizon. Lots of blues and cooler colors in my work. I feel like a lot of it ties back to just nature and the environment, your surroundings, and how you feel in those types of open spaces. I love the idea of sunsets and being able to see them. Now that I live in town again, so to speak, I can't see the sunrise or set. It drives me crazy. But yeah, just big skies, open spaces. It's what I grew up with, and I think you can see that in a lot of the works. Looking at these, I wish I still had some of them, but I don't. Winds, rain, snow, like all of those things I absolutely love. Of course, the sunset.
Wow.
Yeah, those are some of the pieces, I guess.
Yeah, those are amazing. Can you say something about your process? Like how you get up at 3 a.m. and start working? Do you work, you know, that America 2025, you started in 2024. Do you take a long time? Do you take a short time? Just a little bit about what that's like for you.
For that first piece, I do not have a studio space, unfortunately. So a lot of my pieces, I feel like the need to paint, and then I find a spot wherever I can. That one was in the garage. And sometimes I put a piece on whatever wall I can find at home and leave it up there for months at a time and keep adding to it. As far as process, I think I was really lucky in my early youth to really get into the idea of journaling and coming face to face with recognizing emotions and being self-expressive. even if it was just for myself. And I still journal a little bit, but sometimes I feel like with these pieces, it feels similar, where you really just want to write down what you're feeling in that moment. And you don't really have to explain it to anybody or feel like it needs to have an impact or a result in particular, but it has a similar feeling to me, especially with like free association writing. It's just all about like what you're feeling in that moment. And sometimes it's done in an hour, and sometimes it's done in 6 months or more. But yeah.
So you're also a writer with your children's books and maybe other things. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, I've always been into writing. I think I was always pretty good at telling stories. It was sort of an escape for me. I think that growing up, like I was really like a quiet kid. Everything was in my head, which I think is important to understand about young artists. Like there's a bit of a feeling of feeling misunderstood. And so writing is just a great outlet for anybody who might feel the same way. And so it started out like that, and it wasn't like a focus in any of my education or career, so to speak, but you still like you always have to be able to convey your ideas, I think, in my line of work. And so that really helped with a lot of my professional career. And everything that I feel like I do creatively is in a response to what's happening in my life. And with the children's books, I was a young mom and had these ideas of how I wanted my kids and other kids to really feel a connection with the natural world, and to feel the need to explore it. And that's what my books were about when I wrote them. And so, yeah, I felt like they really encapsulate like that part of my life. I haven't done as much of it lately, mostly because the parent company to my publisher is in the middle of bankruptcy, which is sort of a mirror of the times for small businesses. And so even though I do have a contract to do a third book, it's just difficult right now to connect with them. And I think that if I could give any advice to anybody who's starting out and has an interest in writing and illustrating as I did back then, my whole goal was to get published. And I'm thankful that I was, but self-publishing is also such a valid option, and it might be worth it in the end. You might have more control over your works.
Yeah.
Sure. And you illustrated your books too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you said you have two, and then you have a contract for a third. Okay.
Yeah.
And if people wanted to find those books, how would they do that?
Well, most of them are sitting in a storage unit in Edina at the moment. I've been trying to get my hands on some of them so they don't just end up property of the bank, but I think you can still find them online. I know the company's still operating. The parent company of my publisher is Legacy Toys. So if you've been in a mall, in most places in Minnesota, they carry my books, and they also store online. I've run out of my inventory, so otherwise you can call me.
Are they on Amazon? Do you know?
They used to be, but I don't know. I've kind of dropped off the Amazon space for a while, so I haven't checked in on that. But I know they were really hard to work with because they preferred to work with larger distributors, and my publisher was always smaller and independent, so it was hard to like get into that space. But maybe look at thrift books, maybe.
Another part of your life, which we talked about before we went live, is your activism. Could you say whatever you want to say about your activism, what that means to you, and also a secondary question is how do you see activism and creativity working together, feeding off of each other? How does that influence your creativity, or how does your creativity influence your activism?
Yeah, I think that for me and for most creative people or artists, because of the type of work that you do, you're always trying to be really aware of what's happening in the world and what's happening around you. And I was never really super active as far as, protesting or getting really involved in politics for most of my life, just because it can be difficult to really dive into that and very time consuming and energy draining. And so for a long time, I've always felt very aware of issues affecting people around the world. But I didn't get highly involved. And I think more recently, just because maybe I'm getting older, maybe it's because my kids are older and I'm able to spend more time with it. And maybe I'm just fed up with whatever is going on, like everything. And so I started to use my voice more, and I started to participate more in activism. I think I've been to 8 major protests at the Capitol this year alone. And what's the best part about it for me, I think, is being there and being present, is not only to be there in support of the issue that you feel close to, but you get to be around so many other people, and you get to see the passion and the issues that they're very passionate about. And so diving into that world has been so inspirational to me, not only to feel like I'm not alone in this sort of time, because living in a rural area, you can start to feel like you're very much alone, and you wonder if people feel the same way as you do. And then when you're there among all these people present, and you just really feel a part of something bigger, and you realize how all sorts of issues like environmental or climate or immigration or union or education, science, all these things are so connected. And when you are passionate about one of them, you really contribute to all of them. And I think that it's just really important for artists in general, and just for people, to continue to just really be aware and not sit back and let someone else control the narrative, which is really like the most important part of art and society, is there's so many institutions and governments and religions that feel like they need to have control. And the best part about being an artist is you don't let somebody control you, and you write your own narrative and you speak to your own narrative, and you don't let propaganda or the media decide what you should know and what the truth should be. And so, yeah, I think that's been the best part about being more active in a political landscape, is just having that one other voice when you feel like maybe it doesn't matter, but then when you see all these other voices and they're speaking the same thing or a similar thing or a related thing, you realize how it all ties together and how it's such important work and extremely valid, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know it's also just really empowering. And I think that right away it can be scary to speak out. You'll have people that don't understand or kind of shy away from you because they don't want to like associate with what you're speaking to. But the more I do it, like with the more comfortable I'm getting, like I've honestly asked formally to speak at the Minnesota State Board investment meeting next month on issues that I'm concerned about and the unethical ways that Minnesota's public funds are being spent. So it's just really nice to like feel empowered to do that sort of thing when even a couple of years ago I might not have been feeling that way.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks for sharing that. How does that the creativity? How does activism actually affect your creativity, or vice versa, specifically?
Oh yeah, I forgot to answer that part of the question. I think that creativity in itself it's really just part of your personality, if you have it. And if you can find creative ways to speak to people who may not understand, that's a really important part. And just getting people to come together in a united cause. I think that activism and art are going to have a really strong awakening in the coming years, just in a response to everything that's going on. I've been really impressed by groups that have nationwide coordination to even get everyone together and have, one day where everyone in all 50 states are participating in an event, so to speak. Like, that takes a creative person to be able to do that, and a very organized person, but also creative. You need to be able to speak to people. And I think that for me personally, I don't know where this road will lead. I feel like my whole life I've always worked in so many different mediums, like drawing, painting, writing, digital work, poetry, photography. I mean, the list goes on and on. I've always done so many different things. So maybe moving forward, this could be an opportunity to really focus on one area. And I know that I feel strongly about it, and maybe just the point in my life where I'm at, like this might be an opportunity to do more with that. But I think for sure creativity and activism go hand in hand, and it has for decades, centuries. Like, you need a creative mind to be able to see outside of the system that's trying to oppress you or surveillance you or propagandize you or control you in any way. And even just being able to do that is really creative, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is kind of a change from this topic. So you don't do commissions, right? And do you have artwork for sale? Things you've created? How do people find you? Where do you sell your work? How do you connect with the public?
In the past, I used to do a lot of art shows, especially when I was living in Milwaukee. I would go and do like the major community art shows and set up all my walls and all my art. And I felt like during that time I was saying, I had the idea that, oh, if you have a piece in mind, let me know what colors you like. Let me know what themes you like. And that just didn't really work for me. I think that it really just didn't feel like art anymore for me personally, because of the nature of the way I create. It's all very personal and self-expressive. So I kind of fell out of that a little bit. And so since then, I do try to exhibit when I can. All of my works that I have created, I've sold, just from showing them different places. And of course, my family buys so much of it too, even though I'd say they can have it for free. But I think again, right now, everything I'm doing is personal work, and I try to exhibit when I can, but we'll see what happens in the future. Like I said, this area of abstract art is the thing that I feel most connected to and most gratified doing. And so hopefully that can maybe lead somewhere else.
And you don't have a website or?
You ask a graphic designer that, and it's like perpetually like, oh, I need to update my website. I've had so many websites. I do have a website for my books. That's just kmallenbooks.com. But that's primarily just for my books that I've had out. That one's still standing. My other ones have sort of fallen apart over the years, just because, again, I think I've felt more of a need to create art for myself and not to please anyone else. So the idea of having a website sometimes can be disconnecting. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, maybe I should set one back up. Then we can all see it. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, oh, I forgot about that piece I did. It's nice just to show. I mean, I have all kinds of other accounts showing photography and different stories I can tell through that in my life. And I do value the idea of having a website to show everything that I've done, but I just feel like it's so much that I don't know where to start.
Sure.
Is there?
So if people want anything, they'll just have to come talk to me. Sorry. I'm not mean, I promise. You can come talk to me.
Do you show your stuff like on Instagram? I can't remember. We might be connected, but I can't recall.
I do a lot. I do a lot on social media. A lot of my accounts I've switched to private, just because of the way people can sometimes troll you and attack you once you've started speaking out. So a lot of my accounts are private now. But I'll send you, Kristin, which ones are the good ones.
Oh, sure.
Is there anything else that you would like to say or wanted to say that we didn't touch on?
I think that I could speak a little bit about some of the things that I really have been enjoying in the art world right now. I've been spending a lot of time, because of my proximity to the region, but I've been spending a lot of time in Winnipeg. And I think that one of the most enjoyable things for me lately is seeing works by new artists, smaller artists. And again, I try to do this in our region as well, but going up to Winnipeg is just so fulfilling because you can go and see 6 galleries in the same day. I've been trying to go to a lot of exhibit openings and speaking with the artists and really supporting their work and collecting art, so to speak. So like as an artist, trying to be a more of an arts activist. And I think I just get so much pleasure out of meeting and talking to people and other artists that work in different mediums. And I think that stems out of just my experience, like being a young adult. I was very lucky to do a lot of traveling and living different places. I mean, growing up here was amazing. But as soon as I turned 18, I moved to Colorado. I was lucky to live in Europe when I was 19 and living with just different artists who had different focuses. After Europe, I lived in Minneapolis and lived with other roommates who had completely different things outside of art. They were all scientists, and seeing their world and getting to know them. And then in college, of course, just being completely immersed with all kinds of different roommates and students that are focusing on different areas of creation, like sound design and music, sequential design and comic books, film, painting, fashion, and getting to talk to these people who have a different medium focus, but also are artists, and seeing how their work can relate to your work or inspire your work. It's probably my favorite thing to do. So I think it's just really important for people to remember to go to the galleries, go to the theater, go to the shows, and support local artists and get to know them if you can. And just recognize that they're so valuable to society and to our communities, especially in this area. Yeah, that's it.
That's great. That's a great reminder.
Yeah. Now I want to go back to Winnipeg.
Yeah. I'm like, call me when you're going to go and we can meet up there.
I need to go. I have 3 pieces I need to pick up. Like, I just love like going up there and going to the galleries and getting to know even like the directors. They're like, some of them know me by name by now, and they're just like, Kat, when are you coming back? And I'm just like, and I love that. And one other thing I should mention is I joined a group called the Manitobans for the Arts, and they were so excited to have me, and they said, well, you're our first international member. And they're just so fun. They have all kinds of events. There's so many great art groups up there. Another one is a group that it's mentoring women's for arts group, and they have, you know, feminist figure drawing classes and different other arts courses you can take, and it's like $10 or something. It's just amazing to always feel like you have an event or something to go to, and it's definitely worth the drive. It's not too far. So.
Yeah, and that's a great reminder for those of us in Northwest Minnesota when we feel like I want a little more culture than I'm getting. Winnipeg is not that far away.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's our closest big major city, so that's just a good reminder.
Yeah, that's the reason I agreed to move here.
Well, great. Thank you so much for joining us, Kat. And unless you want to say something else, I'll end the broadcast.
Let me say something real quick. Just a reminder about our exhibit. So this is for all of you watching this. If you're in Northwest Minnesota, our exhibit is in Thief River Falls at Northland Community and Technical College, and the exhibit ends Friday. So that's the booklet exhibit. We have 106 pieces. We have 18 artists. You can see Kat's piece in that exhibit. So it's open 8 to 4:30, normal business hours. It's free. You can park. Parking is free. Enter door B as in boy, and check it out. And so that ends on Friday. So thank you, Kat. Thanks for agreeing to have this spotlight and for being in our exhibit and just for your awesome work.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, great.